So Carla was trying to hide evidence, and the police did find something suspicious, like the fact that it was late and they were washing clothes. But because they thought that she had just drank too much, that's basically how they ruled it. And they didn't even look for drugs in her system because had they have looked, they would have found that she had been drugged. Well, after this, Paul had become really angry with Carla because he thought that she did it on purpose. And so for a little bit, things were weird between them. And Carla's parents, after the accident, really didn't think that much of Paul afterwards. I don't know if they suspected him of doing something, but after what happened to Tammy, they just they didn't really think a lot of Paul after that. And they told Tammy that Paul needed to leave. And Tammy was afraid to tell Paul because she was afraid of how he would react. So the two ended up actually moving out together. And this is where things would get worse. One of the girls that Carla knew, who was just 15, and they call her Jane. Well, she ended up drugging Jane just like she did Tammy because Paul liked her. And for a while, they were, Jane would be coming over and they would drug her and they would videotape doing things to her. And she would never remember it. But every time she would go over their house, her mom thought it was suspicious that she always come home with flu-like symptoms. And Paul started trying to get her to do things with him when she wasn't drugged. And she got to the point she didn't want to be around him anymore because Paul would tell her, well, if you care for Carla, you will make me happy, is what he would tell her. And finally, she ended up telling somebody, and her mom found out. So she was not allowed to be around them anymore. And there was another friend of Carla's. And this time, Paul wanted to try to see if he could get her to like him without drugging her. She thought a lot of Carla. So she told him that she didn't have feelings for him. And he would get mad. And she stopped coming around because she started feeling uncomfortable with him. But he would always say that it was Carla the reason they stopped coming around. And like I said before, Carla was not innocent by no means. But at the same time, I think two things can be true, that she was abused, but at the same time, she was also bad, because there's so many times she could have went to the police and done something, and she was just as involved in the tapes. She was in them, and she was doing horrible stuff. So Paul comes across one night this young girl, and she was just at a celebration of life because one of her friends had been in a car accident, and she missed her curfew and she got locked out. She went to a payphone to call her friend to see if she could stay the night with her friend, but her friend told her that she couldn't. So she went back home and she was going to knock on the door when she come across Paul. He offered her a cigarette, and when she said yes and she went to his car, he pushed her into the car and made her put a blanket over her head. And he told her the next 2 hours would determine whether she lived or died. And when they got to the house, he woke up Carla. And Carla went downstairs and she seen the girl. Well, through the videotapes, like I said, Carla was just as involved. She was doing things just as much as what Paul was. So they kept the girl alive for hours, basically just torturing her. And she had a blindfold on, but at one point the blindfold, it slipped. And he told Carla that he had to kill her because he had R-worded other girls, and he was afraid of getting caught. And if she went to the police, because he, not that long ago, he had already almost been caught because a girl seen what he looked like. And so he already had to give his DNA. So he did not want to take the chance of her being able to identify him. So he took her life, and on the day of their wedding, she would be found, but her body was not intact. And they identified her because of her braces. And when they come back from their wedding, and after they went on their honeymoon, they had found out that she had been found. And Carla was in a panic because Carla's mom is the one that told her, like, she told her, she said, "Hey, have you heard about the girl that was just found?" And Carla tried to play it cool, but she was terrified. She was scared. And when the mom ended up leaving, Paul was not happy with Carla because he thought that she was going to give them away. And he told her, he said, if we get caught, you go down too because of Tammy. So he also told her about the other girls. He told her about the other girls when they had taken the life of the one girl. That was the first time that Carla had actually ever found out that there were other girls. So she didn't want to get in trouble for Tammy. So she said that's why she did what he wanted. Well, he wanted to find another girl. So this time it was daytime. And they went to St. Catherine's School. And that is where they found a young 15-year-old. She was leaving the school when Carla stopped her and asked her for directions. Well, when the girl was looking at the map, Paul got out of the car and at knife point pushed the girl in, and Carla got in the back seat and was holding her by her hair. So with this young girl, they kept her for days, videotaping her, and he would always make the girls call him master, and he would make them say horrible things about themselves. He would do this every time. And Carla would be in the videos either videotaping or she would be in the videos. And they would daytime keep her drugged and keep her with alcohol so that she would sleep. And then at nighttime is when Paul would just videotape her and do awful things to her. And this went on for 3 days. And this girl got to the point where she started talking back to him. And this would make him mad. But she got to the point she had had enough. And she told him that some things are worth dying for. She even told him at one point, I don't know how your wife stands to be around you. And so he would end up, well, with her, he would say that Carla took her life. Carla would say that he's the one that took her life. But either way, one of them took her life. And the sad thing is that there was one point where they made her watch on the news of her parents begging for her return. And I think after that is when she had just had enough. Well, after this happened, the police was getting closer to finding out about Paul. And at one point, he ended up beating Carla so bad that her eyes were black. And she ended up, she left him. Well, the DNA at this point had come back, and it pointed to Paul, that he was the one that had R-worded the victims. They didn't know about the two young girls yet, but they knew that he was the one they were looking for in the crimes involving that he had R-worded the girls. And they called in Carla, and Carla thought that they wanted to talk to her about her being abused, but no. And so when they come to talk to her, she ends up just, she talks. She tells them she knows that it's him because he told her. And then she also tells them that she knows about the two girls because she was there. And also about her sister, she tells everything. But before she tells them, she wants to make sure she's not going to go away for a long time. And so they tell her, if you tell us everything, you won't do much time. You'll do time, but you won't go away for a long time. So she tells them, and about the tapes. Paul's lawyer, though, tries to end up getting rid of the tapes, but they end up finding out, and the lawyer ends up resigning from the case. So when they get the tapes, they realize that Carla is not as innocent as what they thought. At the same time, though, they made the deal with her, so they can't go back on the deal. And these tapes are pretty bad. But again, they made a deal with her. They can't go back on the deal. So this is Canada. So because they are in Canada, Paul ends up getting 25 years with possibility of parole. Carla ends up getting 12 years. Paul served 25 years at one prison and ended up having to go to another prison. He has done appeals, but they have been denied so far. Carla is out, and she married her lawyer's brother, and she has kids. And the sad thing is, she doesn't like when people take photos of her or anything. But the crazy part and the irony in that is they videotaped these young girls at their worst moments. And she thinks that she shouldn't get just photographed. I don't know, I find that really odd. But like I said, she's out, she has kids, and she changed her name. And as far as I know, she still has at least something to do with her mom and her sister. So, and with Paul, like I said, he's still in prison, and he's had a couple appeals, but they've all been denied.